Welcome back to the Two Blues podcast, to Two Blues Tuesday, and to the first transfer roundup of the new year. Welcome to all our new viewers. Thanks for joining again to all our regular subs. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. This is the Two Blues podcast, where we bring you our weekly update of everything going on in the football world, mainly Chelsea focused on this channel. What's going on with my camera?
Yeah, you've got Nosferatu going on, bro. What's happening there, bro? You've had to have Count Orlok jump out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Are you man seeing this?
I'm not sure what going on over there. I'll change the camera, the camera up very quickly. But while I'm doing that, introducing my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks. How you doing, C Money? Back-to-back streams, back-to-back transfer episodes. We live.
Yeah, man. It's good to be back. It's good to be here. It's good to be home. It's good to have all of you lovely people here as well. Just listening to all of the takes, whether they're hot, whether they're cold, whether you agree, whether you don't. And we love hearing what you have to say about them and then calling you dumb if we disagree with you, because that's just what we do, because we're just two very humble Chelsea fans as per.
As per, man, as per. But we'll start at home. This is the transfer episode. And obviously we did speak at length last night about Mark Gehi. That was kind of that was a bit more topical and transfer focused. That was very much focused on Mark Gehi, the news that came out yesterday that Chelsea may be looking to sign a centre-back, and more of just a general discussion on whether Chelsea actually need that and who the best option is. So I'm not going to tell you what Charms and I think. For that, you're going to have to go back and watch the video. Charms gives his ideal pick. I give my ideal pick. We give our yes or no's on Mark Gehi, how much we would be prepared to pay for him. You got to go and watch that video to find out the information, man. But new day, new transfer rumor. As of this afternoon, exclusively dropped by Chris Wheeler on Twitter, Chelsea leading the race for Kobbie Mainoo if he leaves Man United. So the story is Manchester United have apparently hit a contract stalemate with Kobbie Mainoo at 19. They are currently under a budget squeeze, as we have seen from them cutting ridiculous costs like Christmas bonuses for Labour staff and stuff like that. The club is in an absolute cesspit, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was issues with his contract. However, this is coming out from the Daily Mail, nobody else. There are no other verified sources that have commented on this. Ornstein, I don't think, has. Fabrizio hasn't. Mail Sport understands that Chelsea are in the pole position to sign the 19-year-old if he cannot agree new terms at Manchester United. That is virtually the entirety of the news, virtually the entirety of the report, that there is currently a contract stalemate. Kobbie Mainoo is potentially looking at other options, and Chelsea are firmly in the lead in terms of, or in pole position, should I say, in the race to sign Kobbie Mainoo. So, Charms, this is your first reaction to hearing this news. Give me your thoughts on, a story that I did not expect to be hearing today.
Yeah, no, not at all. Especially after what we were talking about yesterday, we were struggling to find a place for, Andre Santos, who's looked so good coming back into the team, and what we're going to have to do about him and the Cassidy, and how that affects Lavia and how that affects Enzo. And seems to be like that 8 to 6 position is filled and then filled again, But the fact that we're in the running for Mainoo, I'm not going to complain. Kobbie Mainoo is one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, and I would say that in his age profile, he's the best under 20 holding midfielder in world football. I think that when you're looking at that age bracket, very few names come to mind, and the other one we've already got under wraps. One of the only two remaining. So I'm very interested that why we're going in for a player like that. But listen, if we can, we should, and we will, because that is what we've been like as a club. We want a player, we'll get the player, we'll do all the logic later. But Kobbie Mainoo, I think, is an absolutely fantastic player. He's wise beyond his years, and one thing that was a big topic of yesterday for me was not wanting to sign in any more project players. But to me, Kobbie Mainoo is not a project player. I think he's a player who knows what he brings to the table, and you'll be able to expand on that very quickly, no matter the club he's at. And I think that he's a perfect fit for a club like Manchester United. I thought that he wouldn't leave the club. I thought he would have been there for at least 5-6 years. So the fact that this is happening already, it's good news, for rival clubs, particularly for a club like Chelsea who can fork out the money. Now, whether we do go out and commit to him, it's a different question, and I think that's going to revolve around what we do with the rest of the club, what Enzo wants to do, especially in midfield, and what is the fee attached to him? Because I can't imagine we're going to want to spend a ridiculous 70 million pound price tag, but I can't imagine he goes for anything lower than that sort of 50 to 60 million pound range. So, and that's a good price for a player like Kobbie Mainoo and the potential he's shown. So, yeah, I think that it's a little bit greedy, but once again, how greedy have this Chelsea club been in the last 12 to 18 months, man? I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting that one over the line.
Where do you feel, obviously you mentioned there, and as we discussed yesterday, yeah, I mean, a couple of centre mids could definitely be leaving the club this transfer window. But in terms of the players currently contracted to Chelsea in our first team right now, and let's include Andre Santos in the mix for the fun of it, where would you rank Kobbie Mainoo in terms of the pecking order of our midfielders?
It's difficult. It's really difficult. I would say that in terms of like an out-and-out defensive six and how he's able to sweep and transition the ball, he'd be up there with Caicedo. I mean, honestly, I mean, at his age already, I can't speak much about Andre Santos. You do all the loan watching, so it gives my eyes a little break on the European leagues. But from the numbers I've seen, the stats I've seen, the things you said, and I always trust me and you have got very similar opinions in terms of football players' ability and talents. So if you're saying he's a wonderful player, I'll probably think the exact same thing. So, it's difficult. I just know for a fact that Kobbie Mainoo is the word generational was being thrown around his performances in the Euros, and you can't say that about many other players. I mean, the way they walked into that side as a 19-year-old and forced himself to play the rest of the tournament in the biggest tournament that every tournament England go into, it's the biggest one they've had to face yet, because the expectation only grows and grows and grows. So to walk into that side, hold it down, it was beyond impressive. Impressive is used for a player like Andre Santos, who's having a stellar season, but that was a showing of his ability. And if we're able to get that player and we're able to play Enzo in an 8 and we're able to play him next to Caicedo, I don't see one player who's an attacking midfielder in the world who's able to break through that. I don't understand what you would have to do in order to get those players.
Would you rate Kobbie Mainoo above Lavia?
I would, yeah. I would right now, yeah, I would. I would say that I know that Lavia is a fantastic player, and once again, like I've seen him live in the flesh, play 90 minutes of fantastic football, but I've seen Mainoo do the same thing, and I've seen him do it at a younger age, and I've seen him do it, to be honest, with a little bit more ease.
Do you not think, and I don't know whether it's just me not having watched enough of Manchester United this season or just being generally disgusted with the style of play when I do tune in, do you not think there's been a little drop off? I mean, I thought he was hot shit last season. I thought Kobbie Mainoo was the best player in a Man United top. As you said, massive tournament for England as well. Huge player. Undoubtedly massive potential, big future ahead of him. But I do feel like there's been a drop off this season. And I don't know whether that is potentially down to these contract talks, but what you said earlier, alluding to the fact that we're going to have to stump up a lot of money. Even if he wants to run down tract, Manchester United still have the leverage at this stage. So yeah. What do you think of how and where his price tag would be if he was to leave this January?
Yeah, so there's a couple of bits you just unpacked there. I mean, first of all, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, he had a little bit of a niggling injury that might have had him out for a couple of the games. So they're not all his fault. And aside to that, he's next to Casemiro, who's just a fat old man who makes him do all the work. And you look at that whole side, it's so difficult to just look at one player in particular, because Bruno Fernandes is still a quality player, but he's been in that side the whole time. And it's not like we're looking at him and going, is he shit? No, he's good, man. He knows what he's doing. He's solid up top. It's all the clowns around him. And I feel like it's the same with Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, you look at their whole back line, you look at who's next to him, look at their keeper, you look at everything, and it's easy to make problems. To cause faults. I mean, it's hard to get in 100% pass accuracy. And you got fucking Rasmus Højlund, the one asking for the ball, and Anthony's next to him. So I don't know about maybe a dip off in performance, but definitely been a dip off in the numbers. Aside to that, I think when it comes to a fee attached to him and like what we would need to fork over, particularly being a rival club, let alone just someone interested in poaching such a fantastic young star, I think one thing that we have in abundance is players. And one thing that Man United have done in the past is take a player plus money fee. And I think that is something that we should look into here. And I mean, and I know how funny this is going to sound, but even if we can get
chili chillo.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a Ben Chilwell and a Keenan Dewsbury Hall and 20 million. Have that, and we'll take Kobe Mainoo. Moving like the NBA, bro. Just throwing out players and money into the deal. And listen, I'm talking players like Ben Chilwell, Dewsbury Hall. I'm talking players like, honestly, Lavia
Raheem Sterling?
as a straight swap. Raheem Sterling, if he wants to get involved in that trade, should they like his performances he's been putting up recently? Then we got Mikhailo Mudryk. Should this whole thing blow over, I think that's a great player for them going up top. So, listen, I think we've got plenty of players who we can get involved in a transfer. And I think when you look at the books, I think that's probably one of the only things that's going to be questioned is going to be a player plus money transfer fee, because another 60, 70 million on another holding midfielder when you just spent 200 million combined on two holding midfielders. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think that it's got to be like a Lavia in 15, a Kid in Dewsbury and a Ben Chilwell and 20. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued that we're speaking about Lavia like that. I don't know. Maybe I just rate him a lot higher than a lot of other people. I know his injuries don't help him, but I think I wouldn't trade Lavia for fucking the world. I wouldn't trade Lavia for Bellingham.
For Bellingham, though.
I do. The one thing that also makes me kind of a little bit more skeptical of this report, as clickbaity as it is his contract is until the summer of 2027. So he's still got 2.5 years on his contract. So I don't know about contract talks stalling. He's got fucking 24 months to get what he wants.
Well, you say that, but then at the same time, you know, like when he signed that contract, he wasn't the Kobe Mainoo that we know today. So I can imagine that his agent's probably pushing for him to get a bit of an increase in his salary, which he probably deserves. The money that he's probably on is what you sign when you're an 18-year-old breaking in at United. And the performances he's been putting up, he's thinking, we could push for a fucking move here. And if not, we could push for a new contract. And United are clearly thinking, okay, well, you got plenty of time left on it. I don't understand what you're doing. We signed Cole Palmer a year later, put him on another prison sentence when he already had 7 years left on it. So listen, if you like the player, you keep him down, and if you don't, you're gonna have to entertain offers. It's one or the other, and I think the player deserves more than an 18-year-old salary.
Fair. I think that as well. You know, the other side of that is it means that they have leverage. I just don't think there's any leverage to go into Manchester United this window. I mean, look, you know, what have we got? What could we go in there? Oh, you know that nice deal we did for you on Mason Mount, that player that's doing really well. Can we just get another favour from you? Can we just get Mainoo for the same fee? I mean, you'd be hard pressed if Mason Mount is going for 55 million. If that's what Manchester United value Mason Mount at, I dread to think what they value Kobe Mainoo at. It would be minimum 120 mil. But yeah, I mean, you're bang on with what you said. Look, we've just spent £250 million on 3 central midfielders. Can't be going out and spending more. Can't be going out and buying another one unless we get rid of them. And it isn't me saying, you know, I don't want to get rid of them.
No, I agree.
Yeah, you can't spend more money on a position and have an average position fee or price tag of 85 mil. That shit will not run. It may have been the Chelsea of the past, but yeah, come on, we need more proof in the pudding. And we spoke for 50 minutes yesterday talking about how key, how important experience is. And while Kobe Mainoo settled into the Premier League fantastically last year, he's only got 1 year of senior football at his level, at this level. So, you know, we should be thinking about his development and thinking about his level the same of Nicholas Jackson and Caicedo. You know, like, I don't think he's there yet. And while I would agree with you, I don't think he's a project player. I think he's far more than that and far more developed. I think he's got a real fucking proper head on his shoulders. He's got a proper set. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. He's screwed on. He has got the age and the wisdom of a 35-year-old in the body of a fucking, you know, a young player that is able to, that's still got that energy, that's still able to do that box-to-box role. And I think he is slightly more defensive than Andre Santos would be. But, you know, still slightly different profile. Look, while I'm not actively, you know, going in for a centre mid, I don't think it's something we should be prioritising. You're not going to be mad if Chelsea sign Kobe Mainoo this window. So at the end of the day, it's not our money. It's not. What would you be mad if we signed him this window?
No, I was just thinking about it now. Just then, you saw me like a little bit zoned out. I was just trying to think about like what do we do if tomorrow the news breaks, Kobbie Mainoo's coming to Stamford Bridge. How do we line up? What do we look like? And I just feel like it actually creates quite a problem. I struggle to see us being very successful in a world where we only stick a double six of Caicedo and Kobbie Mainoo. I think like it's almost a little bit too holding, a little bit too, and then that makes Enzo Fernandez being the one that's sort of the primary in transition to the attack. And I've never really been, I like that, but more than I like him defending. But at the same time, I think we've got better players being creative, players like Nkunku. So I just feel like that we've committed to this Enzo Caicedo, duo. And I thought that was going to be the problem when we had originally crossed that and both of those deals over the line. And you had said the same thing. We're stuck with these two now for the better part of 5-6 years. And what if a player like Kobbie Mainoo becomes available and becomes poachable? And you kind of have to pull the trigger on it, but you can't play 3-6. You can't do that. It's just anti-football, and you can't fit them all three into the same rotation. And I don't think any of the three of them will be at Chelsea Football Club for 5 years happy with rotation. I think that two of them are going to have to be nailed on as starters, and one of them's going to have to fly the coop. So I don't know who that would be. And if it's Enzo or Caicedo, that's a massive problem. You know what I mean? So we can't just bring in Kobbie Mainoo just to oust one of the other two that we've put so much time and mentality and physicality and essentially built tactics around, because at times it does feel like we've built tactics around the holding midfield. So I don't know. I feel like it's just a little bit greedy, but it's a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, moving on then, we'll stay within Chelsea. But obviously the next kind of issue that a lot of people have been discussing as of late is the number 9 position. You alluded to it there that Nkunku might be made available potentially. Nicholas Jackson, although he's shown us glimpses of just how clinical he can be and the development arc is fantastic, it's looking like the final product might be next year. And Chelsea fans are getting irate again that Chelsea haven't gone out and signed a proper number 9. Now, with the news that Randall Kolo Muani will most likely be leaving PSG, multiple clubs interested in him, definitely Tottenham and other Premier League clubs. What are your thoughts on Chelsea's number 9 situation in general? And then also more specifically, Kolo Muani as a potential replacement?
Yeah, so Jackson is my 9 right now. Like I think that as a striker, he's not been at fault as of late. I understand that maybe on paper, the goals aren't ticking there, and he has had a couple of opportunities that he should have and could have buried. But listen, I've always felt like he needed a second striker or someone else to kind of bounce off of. I feel like that's kind of how you get the best out of Nicholas Jackson. I mean, his hold-up play and his passing is up close is fantastic. His tight dribbling is fantastic. And now he's learning the art of the finish. And, we saw at the beginning of the season how him and Cole Palmer together, they just learned how to synergize. And, the 1-2s they're playing off each other, the runs they're making for each other. Even some of the passes Palmer would make over the top that Jackson didn't see. It was like, I know you'll get the next one. I know that I will play that ball. And they trust each other. And when I just picture in my head what a world where we get rid of Nkunku and we get a good fee for him, and then we sign Victor Gyökeres, and we've got fucking Nicholas Jackson and Gyökeres next to each other with Palmer in the 10. Dan, it makes me want to have violent convulsions. It's so aggressive. It's perfect.
I thought man was going to say start shooting ropes or something there.
No, I'm telling you, bro. Like we got two strikers that both love playing off another striker. One's a bit more finish first and a bit more, Harry Kaney, and the other one's a little bit more pick up the ball and dribble and be a bit more aggressive and dive at keepers and make them make mistakes. And it's funny because you look at the two profiles and you would just assume Nicholas Jackson, the Kane, Gyökeres, the Son. Nah, I see it the other way round. I see Nicholas Jackson as that human Son that attack the goalkeeper, take the ball, poach the centre-backs, give him a headache, swing it over to Gyökeres. He's in the right place. He makes the run and he buries it. And I just when I visualize that, it just seems perfect. And I in my perfect Chelsea, we go back to playing a 2 with a 10 in between them. and then we work off of a three-man sort of attacking profile. And that, to me, is where I think that we will get the best out of Nicholas Jackson, where we will score the most goals. And Kolo Muani, he is also a player that we saw it with Mbappe, how he likes to play off a second striker, but he's a bit more of a central kind of guy. And once again, I'm not a big fan of the idea of project players in these important positions like striker and centre back. And although he's done it for a while now, was up to that one World Cup, who the fuck was Kolo Muani? I mean, I'm sorry, it's true. And that was, 2 years ago now? And he's had 2 important years at PSG. But once again, and I'll say it, who are PSG in the bigger picture? You know what I mean? It's just another club. It's just another French club that don't really have much about them, who are going to get ousted to the league when it matters. So I don't think that Kolo Muani should be the target that we really go for. I think it's Victor Gyökeres.
Agreed. I think Kolo Muani is much more of a Tottenham style striker,
Agreed.
just in terms of the quality. I don't think he's there. I'm going to sound like a parrot, mate. Yeah, that World Cup is all he's got to his name. He was available for 80 million after that World Cup because of one goal. I'm pretty sure he missed didn't he miss the fucking chance in the final to win the cup as well?
In the last second to go, it's like he gets credit for
and was somehow
losing the World Cup.
Yeah, that has got Spurs written all over it, mate. He will go to Spurs and he will be worse than Roberto Soldado. He'll start well, but Kolo Muani is not built for the Premier League. It would not be a good idea because no doubt PSG would still want, they spent a lot of money on him. They'll want 60, 70 mil for him. So, yeah, not for me. Moving away from
Kolo
Chelsea.
Muani and Timo Werner up top. Yeah, crazy.
This is what I'm saying. Like Dominic Solanke, bro. This is what I'm saying. It's the technical ability of a fucking coconut, bruv. The technical ability of fucking this bottle of water here. Absolutely stinks that front three. But yeah, moving away from Chelsea. Obviously, this is more of a transfer episode. We are not just talking about Chelsea. That was yesterday. But there are a couple of transfers, just 2 really, that I want to kind of discuss, get your thoughts on how much you think they're worth. Just kind of a general kind of, what do you think's going on? The first one is pretty obvious. Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid. Not one that I think you've discussed it on one of your Chopping It Up with Charms. Not one that we've discussed together. So yeah, man, as briefly or as in-depth as you like, just give me your thoughts on that move. He, apparently, and as it stands, it looks like he wants the move and you can't really blame him.
Yeah, and from what I've been hearing, I think that it's more likely that we'll get the pre-agreement signed in January and that he'll be gone for the summer. Obviously, he's a big, important part in Liverpool's league this season and then obviously running away with it at the minute. I don't think they can afford to lose him. So I think that a pre-agreement will be signed, but it will get quite hush-hush until everything's said and done. And then they'll say, listen, this is Trent's leaving party. But as I was saying on my Chopping It episode last week, I think that for me, Trent Alexander-Arnold, when you look at his career in a whole, and you look at what he's done at Liverpool, he's won everything. He's dedicated 20 years to that club. He's been there since he was 6 years old. It's his boyhood club. He's given every little morsel of his ability. He's put it straight back in, and it's got to the point now where he's improving all the defenders around him. I mean, I think the improvement of Jarrell Quansah. You look at his passing ability and how that's changed. And you can only link that to Trent Alexander-Arnold, and there must be something going on there. So, I think that he's more, of an asset than people even realise because he's more than just a footballer at this point. He's a big proponent of Liverpool Football Club, but with the amount he's given to them, they've got to give him something back, and I think they've got to give him the opportunity to progress his career and move to the biggest club in the world. He deserves to play with a Bellingham. He deserves to play with Rodrigo, Mbappe, and all of these players. Rudiger, that is a side that will nurture him and make him the best right back in the world, and something that he's deserved to have had titled on him. And you know what? Even if they make him the best holding midfielder in the world, that seems like it's something that has been in the works for 3 or 4 years. I mean, everyone's always said it. Trent can't defend. What the fuck's he doing at right back? And he's been doing it for as long as Kingdom Come. So yeah, I think that it's a move that the player deserves. I think that the club. They've got everything that they can out of him, and I think that as a very fair thank you, they should let him live out his dreams and every boy's dream of making that massive move to Real Madrid, where he can sit in the Spanish sun with his family, raise his kids there, and become a legend as he deserves to do. And on the other note as well, I don't even know if I mentioned this on Chopping It Up, which I think I did actually, But I think that this is a good thing for the country, and I think England will benefit a lot from this. If you take him out of Liverpool and you let him play in a world-class side like Real Madrid, and then see how that adapts to Thomas Tuchel's England side. Come on now, bro. This is a good thing for the nation, and I think that more than just I know that I'm not English, I'm Scouse, yada yada. Drop the fucking ego, yeah, for 2 minutes. Let's win a fucking World Cup as a country, yeah. And I think that that's going to start with Trent going to Real Madrid. So I think that it has to happen. I think it's the best move for the nation and the club and the club, so they can get him replaced. And I think overall and ultimately, it's the best thing for the player.
Little tangent there, talking about Thomas Tuchel's England. What, you think Trent Alexander-Arnold is England's right back?
I think he is, yeah. And if not, under Tuchel's system, I think he definitely finds his way into that midfield. He don't go, maybe even that right mid.
I always saw it, and I don't know why. I just had a feeling. I always saw it that Trent and Reece James would both go to La Liga. Reece James would go to Real Madrid. Trent would go to Barcelona. I just figured he was more of a Barcelona-style player. That being said, you do not turn down Real Madrid.
No.
He will not turn down Real Madrid. When Real Madrid come to your door and say, would you like to play for us? Nobody says no. Nobody says no. If somebody tells you they told Real Madrid no, they are fucking lying. They were never offered the opportunity to play for Real Madrid, because if you get offered that chance, you take it. And he would be as much of a club legend leaving now, going to Real Madrid, having won everything, than he would if he finished his career at Liverpool. It's not like his peak can get any. This sounds, and I might get done here in hindsight, his peak can't go up. He's already had the best period of his career at Liverpool. That era under Klopp where they were just winning, highest point tallies, Champions Leagues. He was the best right back in the country at that point while Reece James was injured. He's not, they're not, I don't think Liverpool are going to have that. And I might be proven wrong. I don't think Liverpool are going to have that same dominance again, not over a period, definitely, that Liverpool did have with Klopp. I'm touch wood, because this is going to go tits up, as far as tits up can go. But I just don't think, if he says no to this opportunity, they don't come knocking again. They come for Reece James in the summer, or they go for somebody else, Kyle Walker from Man City. They do not come back for Alexander-Arnold if he says no. And look, Liverpool might try and do whatever they can to keep him. I really doubt that FSG are going to be able to match what Real Madrid are able to pay in wages. There's no club in the world, very few clubs, should I say, in the world that are going to be able to match what Real Madrid can offer in terms of wages, but also bonuses, winning, trophies, championships. He's won it all at Liverpool. He could win every single trophy, bar the Conference League, because Real Madrid are never hitting that. But he could win every single trophy in the world with Real Madrid, and then 3 years later, go back to Liverpool and finish his career there. I think, it would be ridiculous for him to turn that down. Similarly, if Salah gets an offer, I don't see them offering him to Salah, because they've obviously got, Vinny, Rodrigo. They've got a lot of attackers. I don't think they need Salah. I don't think they will go in for Salah. But similarly, same kind of, if an Al Ettifaq come in and go, we want, we'll pay you 500 grand a year. It's at the point at which there's nothing left for them to achieve, really, Liverpool. Salah, Van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think you could all argue have hit their peaks. And while they still play to a fantastic level consistently, I don't feel like you're going to get a period of dominance in any other league, in any other team now from Salah, Van Dijk and Trent, who are, two of whom are 30 plus. And I do feel like, this is very much make or break. I agree with you. I think they will try and do it hush hush. They'll try and be as respectful as possible. But there is just no situation feasibly in my head that Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't join Real Madrid. But we will see. We will see. And on the last major transfer that's kind of been discussed this week, and I suppose it's a bit of a paradox, really, to the Kolo Muani one. Marcus Rashford's future at Manchester United is incredibly uncertain. Obviously, he was not part of the team for, I think it was 4 games. He might have been brought back into the squad, but didn't play at the weekend. It looks like he's set to leave. It looks like he wants Real Madrid. He won't get Real Madrid. He's not that level of player. Hasn't been that level of player since 2019. What do you see in the future for Marcus Rashford, both in terms of a club move and also internationally? Is there a way back into the England squad for Marcus Rashford?
So I don't know if this is just because of who I follow, but the rumors I heard is that he was trying to push a move to Chelsea, and I'm not a big fan of that idea. To be totally honest, I think he's the last type of striker that we would need. But listen, I say that. Listen, he is an actual goal scorer, and there is a great player in there. I mean, there is. People will deny and talk about he's leggy, he's past it, his head's not there. I think there's still a quality football player in there. There's a reason he hit the heights he did. I know it was nearly half a decade ago. I get that, but at the same time,
I was going to say, he was young. He had fucking legs.
He's still young. He's still 24, 25. He's still got plenty of time. He's got 5-6 years left in him. And I know that this sound crazy, but if he goes to a West Ham, he tears it up, and he probably saves Lopetegui's job. You know, if he goes to some sides like that, you know, even if he goes to I do. Well, Bowen, yeah, Kudus, no, maybe not. But listen, I think that if he goes to a Nottingham Forest, I think he gives Chris Wood problems, to be totally frank. And I know how good Chris Wood has looked this year and how good he is as a goal scorer. But I think if you get Rashford involved in that mix, I think that he's going to help them push towards the title. And listen, I'm not saying that he's a world-class player at all.
Chris Wood impotent. He's given Chris Wood problems.
Yeah, facts. He's going to be giving Chris Woodings. But I don't know. I think that there is a great player in there. There's a lot of things that you can unpack and gain from a player like Marcus Rashford being in your camp, especially in a young, growing team, the likes of which an Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. It's just going to be difficult to see him stay in the Premier League. So I reckon he ends up at Marseille with Greenwood. No, I reckon he ends up in Spain at like a Valencia, like a team like that that they could do with a striker. They just got Samuel Mondi on. I don't know.
See him at PSG.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see him being the replacement for Kolo Muani. I mean, they got a penchant for overpaid players who aren't actually that good. So PSG could be the one that signed him
as well, off the wing.
Exactly right. He plays off of the wing. Tries to be a fake striker, but he's actually a left winger. So I can see that being a good replacement for Mbappe. But yeah, especially with the talks of Kolo Muani being off, and with a big fee around it, if they were to get Rashford for a solid 25-30 million pound fee, which they probably won't, it'll probably be a lot more than that. But I think that's a fair, reflective price of the ability that we've got at the minute. So listen, if you're able to buy a player like Marcus Rashford 30 million, I think that's probably the best 30 million you can spend in the market in terms of a striker.
I think the profile, you bang on, an experienced striker or experienced forward with goal scoring ability and a track record. But I think then you look at the player himself. And I mean, the first thing that any Man United fans will tell you is his attitude fucking stinks. His work rate is diabolical. He does not track back, does not like to help out the team. He's got a big ego, and when it's not going right, he throws a strop on the pitch. And that is the last thing that this Chelsea needs, is ego in this dressing room. We've managed to get players like Jadon Sancho in and, bring them back down to that humble level. And I just don't, and I think, when you're comparing there, if he's going to be available for 25-30 mil, which I don't think he would be domestically. I think if they were to sell domestically, obviously they have a little bit more leverage. So they'd be looking at, 50, 60. But I do think, they have said that this window they do need to sell. I think Casemiro will go. I think Rashford could go. I think there will be a few players that haven't been there that long at Man United that go because they need to bring players in. But it just kind of hits me as they're going to get rid of Rashford. They're going to panic sell Rashford in order to bring somebody else in. And then they're going to make another Xerxes Højlund-esque signing. Of someone that
and you know what's crazy that you saying that? Crazy you're saying that, because something that I heard earlier, and this was coming from, I think, BBC Sport, was that United are actually looking to get rid of Xerxes, which is someone that they signed in the summer. So I don't know if that's just an Amorim thing to do with Xerxes, and then he just doesn't like the player.
I mean, it seemed like a very Ten Hag signing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's very Ten Hag signing, but to be gone in 6 months is crazy, especially at that young and just being subbed off after 30 minutes. I think it's crazy,
Well,
man, with the
he
idea of
obviously
selling
doesn't rate him.
Xerxes. Exactly. Yeah, but why would you start a player like that if you know you're just going to drag him off and you know you don't rate him? Why would you start him? He's had more than enough time to know the side that he's managing. Why would you start a player if there's even a thought that you're going to drag him off after 30 minutes? He's an attacking player and you're down 2. It's literally not his fault.
Yeah, I don't know. I think their whole team's fucking full of bums anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't really know where to look or what to think with that Manchester United squad. But the reality is they need to sell. Whether that will include Marcus Rashford, I do not know. But we will find out in the next 23 days. And whether it's a Premier League club or elsewhere, I can see him going this January. And if he wants to get back the England fold, which I honestly don't think he can do, I think he's a little bit too far gone. I think him and Sancho are on the periphery and they might get an opportunity in friendlies, cup games. You've got players like Morgan Rogers coming through now. You've got no chance. Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, Foden, Saka, old guards out the window. We've got a new batch of players in. But yeah, that pretty much sums up the majority of the transfer talk this week. Obviously, we are 7 days into the transfer window. There may well be more updates tomorrow. And obviously, if there are, we will bring them to you as and when. We will try and bring you a live stream, a transfer live stream, every other day, every couple of days during this transfer window. I know we want to make sure that you guys have as much content as is humanly possible. Will I be doing a loan watch next week? I'll be doing a loan watch this week. Yeah, fuck it, why not? It will be slightly more condensed because we have been doing a lot more in-depth episodes over the last couple of weeks, and also Chelsea have been recalling loanees, so a little bit less to talk about, but there will be an episode of Loan Watch this week, hopefully an episode of Chopping It Up with Charms this week as well, and Chelsea are back in FA Cup action on Saturday against Morecambe. We are at home 3:00. I am going, so there will not be a live match reaction. There will be a match reaction slightly delayed as soon as I can find somewhere quiet away from the ground. But yeah, you will be seeing plenty of content from us over the next few days. Make sure to continue supporting the channel. Appreciate everybody that has tuned in and continues to support us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok. C-Money, anything you want to say to the people then before we close off?
Just I love you all, and all the support is just so godly appreciated. I mean, Hannah, I've known you for 2 years. Feel like I've watched you grow up. You know what I mean? It's beautiful settings. It's just the community.
Hey, why, lava? Why is man watching another man grow up?
No, hey, chill. I got Christ on here, bro. Chill. I'm not about that life, bro.
Someone said on TikTok earlier, I did my short last night about Josh Achimpong, and they were like, yeah, he's good, man. You've just got to ease him in. I was like, why if he that, bro? No. Fucking hell.
Why for
anyway, it is what it is. You know where to find us, man. At Two Blues Podcast.
Real quick,
Two Blues
just before we leave
on the Instagram.
Just last thing I wanted to say is I'm switching up slowly on the Mark Guehi situation. Last night I was doing a lot of homework. But and yeah, I'm getting there. But I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there.
Well, yeah, he's the boy. Anyway, go and vote on our. I put a couple of little polls up on the Two Blue Podcast story. So go and vote. Are you Mark Guehi in? Are you Mark Guehi out? Are you Achimpong, trust Achimpong? Or are you sign a centre back? Let us know in the comments, guys. Make sure to continue supporting Hanno. Love, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone. Let's go, man. Up the Chels.